If you ever played a board game that felt like the theme was completely irrelevant and just pasted on, you have experienced poor thematic integration. I'm Mondo. I'm a senior developer at the Op Games, which is a publishing company known for Flip 7 and Gnome Hollow, and I'm here to help you with your board game design. If you're designing a board game, it's important to remember that theme and mechanics need to coexist and support each other and not exist individually. The more integrated your theme is into the mechanics of your game, the better the gameplay experience is going to be for your players. So let's talk about theme integration. First of all, we can define theme as the story that's being told within your board game. This is usually something you can tell just by looking at the box. Mechanics, on the other hand, are the thing that players are doing on their turns or the systems that are at work within the gameplay. And when we talk about thematic integration, we're talking about those mechanics reinforcing and telling the story. This is something that really matters as you're designing your game, and overall it's going to make your game better. First of all, it improves the potential that your players might have to immerse themselves in the game, thereby increasing their engagement and enhancing their overall experience. A well-integrated theme can also make the mechanics more intuitive and easier to learn. If the thing that players are doing on their turn feels like the thing that they're doing within the context of the story, it makes that turn easier to understand. And when gameplay is intuitive because of the integration of theme and mechanics, it's easier for players to enjoy themselves when they play it the first time, which means that they are more likely to go share it with their friends or want other people to experience the same thing, which means it will be more appealing to publishers and more successful in the market. So let's talk about a couple examples of good integration. Pandemic is a great example because the cubes on the board that represent different diseases are spreading from city to city the way a disease would spread from city to city. That process just makes sense, so it's not something that players are going to struggle to learn when they learn to play the game. Another example is in racing games like Rallyman GT, where they have car and gear mechanics that reflect real-world racing. Again, if a player understands how downshifting works, then when they learn that process in the game, it's going to come easy. So let's talk about some effective ways to integrate themes into mechanics. For me, I know the starting point has a lot to do with this. When I started game design, I found that it's easier to start from a strong mechanical core than it is from a theme and try to build mechanics into the theme. That's because if I have mechanics that work and are interesting and engaging, I can then go out and find a theme that feels like whatever those mechanics are. In color field, for example, I started with tiles that had colors on them that you were trying to match up. And that process was fun and interesting, so then I thought about what that process feels like thematically. And I settled on creating a painting on a piece of canvas, which fit. In contrast, if you start with a theme in mind, it's harder to find mechanics that fit that theme perfectly. It's not impossible, and that's a valid way to do a game design, but personally, I think it's easier to start from the mechanical side. But in any event, as you're developing your game, you have to ask yourself why each mechanic that you have in the game fits or works within the world and the narrative of the theme. And if you're having trouble coming up with an answer for that, that's something you need to evaluate. Now, thematic integration is obviously something that's more important for bigger thematic narrative games and not as important for smaller abstract games. But even in a lighter game like Azul, you still have a theme in place, and the tiles that you're adding to your board reflect tiles that are being put into a mosaic on a wall. So there's a connection there to be made. And while they could have used a different theme for a game like Azul, the theme that they chose fits. So to wrap up, it's important to remember that a strong thematic integration is going to make your game more intuitive and easier to learn and create a better gaming experience. But tell me in the comments, what's a game with a well-integrated theme? Thanks for watching, and good luck.